We're seeing a move towards, some might argue, xenophobic kind of populism throughout the Western world. Steve Bannon, as you know, has been globe-trotting,
Mhm.
meeting with right-wing politicians, spreading his tried and tested method of, create the enemy within, and then,
Mhm.
create some kind of public discourse against that, and you'll be successful, victorious with. And he's managed to shift the Overton window, called the window of expressible public opinion,
Mhm.
further and further to, against Muslims and other minorities. What's your view with regards to this kind of network, and how do you believe Muslims can prepare for it?
So I think it's really saddening how people don't learn from history.
Mm,
Barely a century ago, the Nazis came to power with the exact same game plan as we're seeing now. Barely a century ago, hardly 100 years have passed, and we have completely neglected the lessons that mankind has seen. It is horrifying when fascists, when far right xenophobes get to positions of power. The exact same game plan. You take a minority that is very easy to stigmatize. You
mm,
take a minority that looks different, speaks different, acts differently, and you blame society's woes on them, like Germany did in the 1920s. Germany began to claim that all of our problems emanate from this one group, that if we were to have this group solved, then Germany would reach its maximum, height and power. And they began smearing and campaigning. And in return, maybe the group did retaliate. Maybe it was conspiratorial. A number of bombings happened. The parliament in Germany was bombed. A politician was assassinated, which led to Kristallnacht, the night of the glasses and whatnot. And these incidents happened, and accusations were made against the
mm,
Jewish community. And this exacerbated the situation. The Nazis come along. They claim they are the Messiah. They claim they are the godlike figures that will protect the German people. And they foment that hatred. They foment that racism and xenophobia in order that they can then claim to be the knight in shining armor. You see, the knight in shining armor has to create the bogeyman, has to create the Frankenstein. So you
mm,
create the Frankenstein so that you become Mr. Powerful, Mr. Messiah, Mr. Godlike figure that's going to swoop down and protect the people. We see it in Trump. We see it with Modi. We see it at Bolsonaro in Brazil. We see it now with Macron, the same mentality. These people don't care about their countries. They're willing to divide their countries in order to conquer their seats. That's the reality of what we're seeing. So what
mm,
we're seeing here is the otherization of the Muslims of France, just like the Jews of Germany 100 years ago. I mean, subhanAllah, we all know that yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, they're going to broadcast the Charlie Hebdo cartoons on the national or on the building of the city. They're going to make it now so big. Can you imagine in America, the movement of Black Lives Matter? Can you imagine the KKK, doing some type of nooses or maybe the N word or something
mm,
very vulgar and making a very public show about this and then saying we have the freedom of speech? Yes, you have the freedom of speech, but you are inciting hatred. This doesn't justify violence. But do you really think that to flout a person's sanctity, a person's ethnicity, a person's religious beliefs, you think to provoke them constantly is going to bring about civil society? On the contrary, what Macron and what his ilk are doing, they are the ones that are dividing society in order that they can then bank in on that division by claiming to be the saviors of their own people. And in the end, who is going to be harmed? Society itself, the entire society, not just that
mm.
one segment of Muslims or of the others. History teaches us that. And Allah musta'an, I mean, we're supposed to be optimistic. We have optimism. At the same time, the situation, it does not bode well politically, and Allah Azza wa Jal help is sought.